Hi there. In this video, we're going to talk about motion capture editing. We're going to be doing this in the time editor with clips. First and foremost, motion capture, really, a huge part of it is the shoot itself. There's a lot of planning that goes into a motion capture shoot to do it and get the most benefit out of it. You've got to plan the moves. You've got to know what moves you're going to need in your game or your production. You're going to need a director that can motivate talent and get the performance out of them. Really important. And then you've got the talent or the actors. If they're doing a particular sport or dance or martial arts or whatever, they've got to rehearse their moves. They got to be very fluent in what they're doing. It's really a big production, and not every game studio has their own motion capture studio. So they'll maybe go to other studios and get a bid, and so when they go in and they're paying for it, you got to be really prepared. Even if you're in a big studio, uh, you might be in a big company with a big studio, and that studio is always booked, and so you've got to really make the most out of the capture. Okay. Okay, so we have been working with motion capture data in the previous videos, and what we've mainly been doing is retargeting. Okay, so it occurred to me that I think there's probably a lot of room for confusion here. So I just thought of this myself. We got three stages of motion capture editing. Motion capture data, call it Mocap. So retarget. So we're taking motion capture data into the human IK solver. In this case, we're using Maya. And we are retargeting data to and from differing skeletons of maybe different joints, quantity of joints, joint names, taking data back and forth between skeletons to rigs, custom rigs. So there's many workflows. There's also automation. You can automate a lot of the stuff via scripts. Okay, so this is what we've been doing up until now, and I've kind of worked on one particular workflow. And for me, that's just defining each one of these moves very carefully and maybe even a bit overkill. The thing to know about this is you can take your data, you can retarget however you want to a skeleton, to a control rig, back and forth, different skeletons. Now, so that's the retargeting phase, and that's what we've been doing up until now. Now we are in the block-in FK mocap stage. So block-in, we're using clips in the time editor. Okay, and so I call this FK because we're just working with a skeleton that doesn't have any IK control rigs on it. So that's forward kinematics and inverse kinematics. So we're working with the FK data in the time editor with clips. And I'm going to get into the details or some of the details of what we can do with clips later in the video. So we're going to use the clips to broadly block in the skeletal data in the time editor. And then the fine tuning, that's going to come when you bake the data to an IK custom control rig or maybe a Maya control rig. And so there's kind of these three phases. And I just don't want you to think that, the way I've retargeted these different animations and this exact process, there's no rules. You don't have to do it exactly the way I've shown you. I've just shown a couple of approaches for different types of skeletons if you've never done this before. Okay, so we're going to do the block-in and then the fine-tuning. That'll be in a future video. So I've got the Unreal 4 mannequin and skeleton. I exported them from Unreal 4 as FBX files and brought them into Maya. This is the mannequin model, and then this is the skeletal hierarchy. Okay. We are in the animation editor, so choose the animation, and then under workspaces, you can click on animation. And if you ever lose your windows somehow, you can come back to workspaces and you can reset animation to factory default. So essentially this would be the factory default for animations. So now this is not the clip editor, it's time editor. Okay, so here's the time editor, and this is where we work with clips. So nitty-gritty details, doing the graph editor. Time editor, you're just working with clips. Now, what is a clip? A clip is just a container of animation. In this case, it's animation that is mapped to this particular skeleton. Okay, so after all the retargeting, retargeted motion to this particular skeleton, and then I exported them in the previous video as FBX files. And I saved them out to Eclipse directory. Okay, and so I've also got a character directory, directory for my definitions. I've got directory for the mocap. I've got work FK, so I'm working with some scenes right now. And then the IK will be the fine tuning later that I alluded to. Okay, so a clip is a container of motion. And so it's going to play the data that's loaded in the current scene. Okay, so I can come here and let's create an animation track. I'm going to right click and I'm going to import an animation clip. And so I will get the back kick. Okay, and so here is the clip for the back kick. And so because this clip is a container of animation for this skeleton, if this skeleton is in the scene, it's going to play this data. So names, namespaces, all that stuff, it has to match up. So it looks like I'm going to have to go into another video to demonstrate how to work with the clips. But what we're going to do in the demo is we're going to we'll import a clip. We just did that. We'll look at trim, scale, split. We'll look at layers, relocator, matching poses, and then assembling for fine tuning. And again, we're in stage 2 of what I would call the 3 stages of motion capture editing. We're just doing like a block in, and then the final part is going to be the fine tuning on an IK custom control rig or a Maya control rig, and that's where all the fine tuning is going to happen. And for for the purposes of the class, even though I'm putting this up on YouTube, but for the purposes of the class, this part right here is going to be the majority of the grade, how good the motion looks. So all this nonsense, we're just doing all that just to get to this point. So I'll see you in the next video.